Welcome to Chapter 4. I'm Doug Hogan, and we're over halfway through this ActionVFX Intro to Nuke course. Can you believe it? Look how far you've come. And now that you've mastered rotoscoping and masking, it's time to bring our scene to life by adding and transforming stock elements. Now, this is really where the fun begins, I think, because you'll see the shot really starting to come together very rapidly. And over the next 30 minutes, we're gonna explore how to integrate ActionVFX's elements into your projects using tools like the Gridwarp for precise placement and animation of elements, and even incorporate a machine learning powered synthetic depth pass for integrating realistic effects in depth, like fog. We'll also take a quick look at this custom Nuke tool that I created for fun that helps you manage your ActionVFX library. And we're really starting to scratch the surface of all the things Nuke and ActionVFX together allow you to do as a browsing artist. So here we go, let's get started. We are back at it, making a super cool shot with some of these amazing pieces of footage from ActionVFX. So we are well on our way to starting to actually see this thing come together, right? Like we've talked a lot about how this is always going to look worse until it looks great, and we are well on that road right now. So let me show you what I've done between last class and this class. So what I've gone and done is I have and I put over here too. So I'm going to be you guys can pick apart this comp tree right here, but I have gone through and broken apart the background and the car right here as well. And this one was pretty interesting because I went through and we wanted to preserve this reflection, right, of the soldier in the car. So what we did here was through a little bit of masking, stenciling, masking again, and reassembly, we've now gone through and isolated just the car without the soldier, but we have also kept the soldier's reflection in there. So that's going to be really handy. And we've gone through and generated depth passes for each one of these. And I went ahead and in the last chapter, we were outputting PNGs, but I was thinking, we're making all of these depth passes. We should just start embedding them into our actual passes and then baking those out, because that's a big part of the Nuke workflow too, is embedding passes. Nuke is an embedding. That's its whole thing. Is it likes to embed nodes with all sorts of metadata, embedded channels, and you can access all of those through all of these drop downs right here. Sometimes, especially for like a CG project, there'll be, just almost 100 different layers, different passes. And live action footage can be the exact same way. So what I did was I took my depth pass right here. And, because we talked about the temporal inconsistency of the depth anything node. Nothing is ever perfect, but we can make it perfect using our compositing skills. I went ahead and generated a depth pass for that, and then embedded it with this copy node right here. And this is a node that we actually haven't gone through, and we probably should have, because this is 100% a core node of Nuke. And the copy node allows you to take any channels and embed it in the stream of any other channel. So here we took, I took the depth anything node, and it's of course taking the depth pass, putting the alpha. So then I just copied the alpha and then put it into the depth Z pass, and now we have the depth pass for the car. And then inside of my right node, I just outputted out an EXR sequence and set my channels to all. Output it out, and did the same thing over here for the background with the shadows. So we still have the running, the ground running on the bottom. You can see that right there. Perfect. It's wonderful, lovely. And now we can go through and start assembling our shot. So we've got this right here. We've got our tentacles over here that we've added in with a little bit of haze. I'm going to go ahead and just take that off so you can kind of see how we're assembling things, and then put this car back on top, and then we're going to have this monster foot crushing the car. So you're seeing the order of operation that we're going through, right? And then the gunfire What's a good frame for the gunfire? There we go. Perfect. And now we're adding in our soldier. But what's really neat, and that what you're not seeing here, is that all of this now has depth information, which is going to come in so handy when we're putting our fog on top. So let's go ahead and click in this drop-down viewer right here and choose depth. And then you're going to see we now have a temporarily consistent depth pass for our soldier, our car, our now moving tentacles. I started animating them a little bit too with these spline warps. We're going to talk about a different type of warping during this chapter. All sorts of different things that we've adding and transforming elements. That's the topic for today. So what we can do is we can add all of these and we can transform these different elements, but we also have full control over the embedded passes like the depth. So here I'm going to show you. We're going to go ahead and I have this grade node right here. And because we're working in embedded channels, my channel right here is no longer simply RGB or RGBA. Selecting depth because I don't want to affect the color for this. No, I just want to affect the depth pass. So we can go through now and I can actually push and pull this soldier's depth pass in 3D space based on that alpha. So we're going to change some of our viewing tools here so we can see things a little bit better. And these are different gamma and f-stop sliders in your viewer. It doesn't actually change your image, just as how you're viewing it. And this helps us because we can kind of see a little bit more of the pixel information. So because we have to work with embedded channels here, and of course, all of this is true depth, but our soldier is going to be synthetic depth because, again, we have to watch out for that temporal inconsistency. So we are going to have him get closer and closer to the frame as he gets there. So we're going to key his depth position. So right when he starts to run, what is it, frame 70, I'm going to have his multiply set to 0.9 of his depth pass. So I'm pushing him back into space. And then he's going to get blown up. He's the closest to camera right about frame 200. So here, he's going to be the closest he ever is to the camera. So we're going to make sure that he's about like 1.1. So now what we're going to see is his depth information is going to increase as he gets closer to the camera. And here we can match his feet. This is usually how I do this. I'll match the feet value based on, because that's the easiest way to kind of see this, right? So he's going to be in the correct space, and we're setting keyframes, and his feet look like they're sticking pretty good for where he's supposed to be running. As he gets closer, let's go get him from right there. Let's bring this down just a little bit. It's close, but it's not perfect, right? There you go. So we want to be in front of that fog when he gets that close. All right, perfect. Lovely. All right, so let's see this all in action. Let's reset our f-stop back to f8. Go back up to our RGB. And now let's start seeing how this actually looks in the fog. So here I have a grade node. One of the things I like to do with fog is I actually like to darken down the background a bit. So using the depth pass, have that set in my mask. So depth.z, and I'm bringing down my values because we want to kind of, when there's that much fog out in the atmosphere, the ambient light, the sunlight's getting cut off, obviously, right? So we want to simulate that by darkening things a little bit. I also want to go up here, and we do definitely want to darken down our, I hate calling them Cthulhu arms. There's got to be a cooler name for these. Cephalopods, like in the Arrival, right? That's much cooler. But we just want to make sure that it doesn't have a lot of highlights, and let's also match the ambient lift around it, so we kind of integrate it into our scene a little bit more before we add the fog. So we're gonna bring up the lift a little bit, maybe our gamma just a tad, very small corrections, kind of just playing here. And then over here, I shuffled out the depth pass. This is a favorite trick of mine for adding depth. And then I'm putting this over onto a canvas. So this is just a constant node that's set to the same reference here of 2048 by 858, so the same resolution. And a constant node is, think of it like a canvas. It is just a blank piece of fabric that we're bringing in here, embedding with our embedded channels, and we're putting it back on top of our footage. So then here I can grade my depth. So ooh, there we go. Okay. Inside this grade node, I again masked it off, and here I'm up in my lift, just trying to kind of find those ranges, right? The multiply doesn't seem to be doing much, but the gamma definitely is. It's nice. We'll just go up to gamma 0.5. And then let's blur it just a tiny, tiny bit. Kind of give a little bit more atmosphere to this. This is a good trick. I had a VFX supervisor way back in the day. He worked on Contact, and he always talked about taking the depth pass and using the depth pass actually as a mask for the blur. And what this does is let's up our mix. So if we have a mix of 1, this doesn't work. This trick doesn't work great. But what we're trying to do is simulate that atmospheric scatter that happens inside the fog. So we're gonna blur the heck out of it, right? Enough that we still see some range and some contrast. We don't want it to get like so washed out. So probably like 50. And then if we mix it down, say to 0.2, what we're doing is we're actually still getting, let me disable this on and off. See that little bit of wrap that goes around there? It's a very cool trick. A lot of compositing is about that last little 2%, right? So very minor changes, but when you add them together, they're pretty impressive. And I'll listen to that VFX supervisor because he's now the VFX supervisor for All Mankind. And that's like one of my favorite shows. So it's great. But we're going to take that pass. And then one thing I did here too is I started messing with the color of the fog. And that's all based on this reference, right? This mood board. This is the reason why I have this on here, because it provides me a direction that I'm going in. And I really like this this fog. This is kind of what I'm trying to simulate here from Arrival. And what you can do is if I'm going to load this into viewer buffer 1, and I'm going to come up here and select my grade node, I'm going to hit 2 because I'm going to load that in a viewer buffer 2. And then inside of my viewer node, I'm going to click in my viewer and I'm going to hit W. And what W does, it adds a wipe. And there we go. Now we have, this is pretty fun because now I have a target, right? So now I can go through and zoom in and I can nail this color. I can get it exactly the same and as my reference. I'm going to do that by going through again the red, green, and blue channels. So let's go back to red. I'm going to open up my fog color and we're going to be grading the gamma this time. And it looks like I have a little bit too much red. So I'm going to bring down that red. Let's see my green. My green looks, got a little too much green. There you go. And a little too much blue, just a tad down. All right, maybe a little bit more. So this is a fun trick that I've seen some compositors use, not a lot, but I think everybody should because you can really narrow down the colors. And especially if you're colorblind like me. Yes, I am a colorblind compositor. I don't know how, but it's just my lot in life. But this is a trick that I've learned that has really kind of helped me because it boils it down to just black and white values. Color now doesn't matter. It's just about contrast and luminance. So follow your dreams, everybody. Even a colorblind person can be a compositor. So now we've got the color much nicer. We kind of have this, this kind of this. It's not pure white. It's got a little bit of interest to it. And now let's kill our wipe again by hitting W. We're going to get rid of that handle. And now let's put it on top of our footage. And okay, we're starting to see some things. I think you can start to see like how this is going to come together, right? We can add our foreground fog in there. And see, it's, once again, looks bad until it doesn't, right? Until it all starts coming together. Now, some things we can do to adjust because we're working with embedded channels here. Let's go ahead and adjust the depth. I don't particularly like, here, I'm not going to view it there. I'm going to view it right there. I don't particularly like how in the fog that car is. So we're going to go back to the front right there. I'm going to, especially in comparison to the soldier, and don't worry, we'll clean up that choppy edge. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of edge blur. Yeah, there you go. Ta-da. Yeah, the edge blur node is a great one too. Just gotta watch it and softens things a little bit. But we'll be able to get away with this because of how much fog is in the scene. But let's go ahead and push this this car out of the fog a little bit. I don't like how foggy it is. So we're gonna go up to that grade node. That is controlling exactly this. And let's just change some values. All right, so we need to increase it. There you go. Too much. Let's up our gamma. Yeah, there you go. So I'm looking at things like wheels right there. I don't want that. I want all of these. I want this to kind of mix with that. So I don't want to push it too far out because then that looks good. But I don't want all of that to be, oh, okay. I guess that's actually not too bad. That actually looks pretty good. We can lift it a little bit too if we want. Overall, oh, that's it's because I'm going to be doing that to the okay. So that's an important thing for you guys to see right there. Unpremulting and premulting. So this is pre-multiplying that channel by the alpha itself. So if you don't, it's going to take all this area outside the black, and it's going to lift that up as well. So we want to just isolate this to the area that we want to affect, and that's the car. So unpremultiplying is very important, even with embedded channels. So I'm just going to keep kind of pushing this until it looks right. And a good trick too is I like to zoom this out and then zoom it way in. And then also have it at 50%, and I blur my eyes. It sounds like a strange trick, but you can start seeing the composition starts kind of you start seeing what's important pretty quick. So one thing I think is we need to reduce some of the overall fog in the background because I want to see more of it, and I want to push this little edge right here a little bit further behind the car. So again, we're working embeddedly. We can do all that. We can go ahead and we can do this one of two ways. We're gonna either do this in the fog itself, right? Which we're grading it right up there, or because we have all that information already in here. Let's go ahead and put a grade node up here. Select our depth pass, and let's up the gamma. There you go, and that just kind of takes away some of the fog. It takes it away a little bit. Too much. Way too much. And the black point and white point can also help you. So we can fade this off. Again, too much. There you go. It's all about a balance. So we kind of want to see this fog right here. I mainly want to be for the background and the car, and then just stop. Because we're gonna do the rest of it with foreground elements. So here I'm just pushing and pulling. I'm basically just seeing until something looks right. I did the same thing with the tentacles too. So we actually have control over the color of the tentacles in the depth, which is really nice because this allows us to push and pull things forward and backwards in space so that we can read it right. And also everything kind of marries together because we don't, we just want this to kind of look creepy, and I don't want to see too much of the tentacles back there. We just want to kind of give some motion. So here, let's now go ahead and where was I adjusting the car? Up here. Now we have a little bit more room to kind of push and pull the depth pass of the car too. I don't want that crunchy edge, so I'm not going to do the white point, I don't think. But again, this is just about playing, seeing when it all starts fitting together, right? I want a little bit of the fog. Yeah, there you go. Now I got too much of the fog on my soldier. So let's go ahead and what should we do? Mix this down? Mix a little bit? Just a little bit. Sound like Bob Ross. Just a little bit. All right, we're putting this all together. Now we can start layering in our foreground elements. All right, now we're starting to really feel like there's depth to the scene, right? I'm starting to dig this. All right, we want to have some more atmosphere on top. So why don't we, let's just start playing. I want to see, like, what does this haze look like when I put it over everything? Okay, cool. This fog, this foreground fog should really be cut out by my soldier too. So I'm going to grab my soldier and I'm going to use him as a stencil. Just going to stencil him out. So he's going to cut through the fog. Starting to feel pretty good. Let's add some more fog. Why not? We need as much fog as we can get. Bring it down, expanding. Cool. Again, we're going to transform these elements, right? We're not going to just throw it in there. We're going to actually transform them. So we can reposition them. Again, take that black outside off. See all these elements starting to like layer together, starting to look creepy and weird. I like it. Let's add you know what? We can mess with the atmosphere a little bit more too with the depth pass by adding in a little bit of a glow. But we're going to mask this off by the depth. We're going to mix. I'm going to, do effect. I want to see the effect first. So I'm going to click that effect on only. And I'm going to adjust my tolerances. So this is just kind of a luminance. Whatever is bright, it's going to start glowing. And then we're going to mix this down. Because again, we just want to kind of have a little bit of a touch to it. Let's increase our size a bit. Yeah, that's cool. We're trying to add layers and feel like that light is scattering. It's scattering throughout all this. We're going to take that brightness down. It's cool. I think we need to darken this a little bit more. I don't know. What do you think? It's nice when it's not too dark because we can see the silhouette of those tentacles some more. But maybe we're seeing them. Maybe we're not seeing them enough. Let's universally grade the depth now. All right. Let's bring them forward. Let's bring them out of the fog just a little bit. I want to see a little bit of it. Right. All right. Let's darken them down a little bit more because I just want to see silhouettes. Cool. And this is when I'm starting to have a lot of fun as a compositor. When I start getting the elements together and I start kind of seeing what's working, what's not working, all those different things. What's cool too is, we have these elements, right, that I'm cutting out with the soldier, but I'm kind of wondering too, what if I actually can shuffle using that shuffle node, right? I'm just going to steal this, make a dot node, hook it in, shuffle node. I want to get my depth information out. And let's mask it. Let's see what happens if we mask that fog by our depth. Okay. Actually, I think we need a stencil. Kind of. Ish. So what I'm basically doing here is I'm using the depth pass to then cut out the car, but not as like a true just cutout. I want to go through and just isolate those areas to give some sort of pass to it. And I'm using page up, page down just to change out all the operations because I want to see like what works, what doesn't work. That doesn't work. Maybe instead, let's go ahead and just take my grade node. Let's grade this using the depth pass. So using this, right? I'm going to invert it. Why is it doing that? Is it too crunchy in the foreground? Maybe that's it. Huh. Okay. Well, we can cheat. We can totally cheat this. Let's go ahead and cheat it. We're going to use a ramp. We're going to use a ramp. We're going to use that as a stencil. We just want to isolate that one area. Doing anything? No. All right. Well, not all ideas as a compositor work, but we try them try them nonetheless. It's all about failing, trying, see what works, what doesn't work. Yeah, this is kind of weird. It's not working the way I think it's supposed to work. So we're gonna ditch this. But what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna go back to basics, and we're just gonna go through and we'll draw some roto shapes because again, we can cheat this. This is a locked off camera, so I'm using a circle, and so instead of the Bezier, you can a whole bunch of different shapes on here. But if you click through it, I want a circle because I just want that tire. I didn't like how that tire looked. So I'm going to then just drag that right into here, and I'm going to set that to a black. There we go. And of course, let's feather it. Let's feather it off. Another thing you can do with these Bezier points that's cool is if you hold down Control and you click on a point, you can actually feather it. You can feather it right there. It's pretty nice. There you go. Cool. I'm going to do the same thing over here because I don't like how that's all. I want this to go behind the other things. So I'm going through here and I'm pushing it behind. So you can see like this the different layers of fog that comes in here. And let's go ahead and just make a soft roto. Here we're sculpting is really what we're doing. We're really just sculpting. And we're going to mix that down. I'm going to spread this out because we can actually sculpt the depth. We can make it however we want. All right, that looks cool. Cool. Starting to look nice. I'm digging it. We definitely need to bring back the soldier. I'm going to add the cutout because I don't want him to constantly just, his layering is not great. Merge A over B, stencil, and there we go. Perfect. All right, so we're starting to see this. It's starting to come together. All right, I like it. One other thing I want to talk about with transforming elements is the different nodes that we have to do that. So one of them, of course, is the transform. We've been using the transform a whole bunch. But we also have other things like this tool called the Gridwarp. Now, I've already set this up, so let me go ahead and just kind of show you guys what it does. But the Gridwarp is pretty neat. Looks super complicated. Don't worry, it's not. So all I've done here is here, let's go ahead and make a basic one, and I'll show you what this allows you to do. There you go. Perfect. Hook this in. What this allows you to do is basically just move your pixels around. And what's neat about this, and what a lot of people don't know, is that you get these stock lines everywhere. But what you can do is you can actually make your own. And that's pretty neat because you can isolate just the areas that you want to work in. Just like that. So we say like, I want to just kind of only, I'm drawing around the tires because I only want to squash this area, right? So now when I pull this down, I'm not pulling these things, right? Now, what is this looking like to you? It's kind of looking like a crushed car, isn't it? And you can see where we're going with this. So we can do things with it. Once we get kind of the shape that we like and we've defined things, we can do fun things with this warp slider. So right now, default, it says source warped. We're going to change this to morph. And we're going to take this warp slider down to 0. And so now we can do fun things like just slide it and crush it. And that's just basically all I did over here is I just kind of defined this a little bit more, made it a little bit more smooth and complicated. Let's and let me show you. So now now it's ready to kind of just crush. And again, this is really neat because we're working with embedded channels, right? So that means when we put all of our fog and all of our stuff in here, well, we can grab this grid warp and we can crush it, the car in the depth, and it still works. We don't have to do anything here. This is perfect. So now later on, when we get this foot, that is a ghost foot. That's weird. Why is it a ghost foot? Why is it a ghost foot? A over B. Solid. Oh, that's strange. Where's my background outfit coming from? I'm losing it. Oh, I guess I didn't output an alpha for my background. So let's go ahead and give it an alpha. We're going to do that with a shuffle, solid white. Alphas are very important in compositing because they tell the compositor how to layer things together. So if we don't have that, weird things happen. And let's, and this is weird too because this foot right here does not have any depth. So let's go ahead and give it some depth. We're going to copy this little array up here, and I'm going to drag down a little bit. And we're going to copy the A and B handle into the copy because we want to use both. We don't want to have any outside channels. And we're going to copy the alpha, which is this, and we're going to make that into the depth, which now we have a nice depth layer, right? There you go. Cool. And then when we go to the over, what we can do is this also merge function. Go ahead and hit all. Now we got some cool stuff. So now we can go ahead and grade the depth based on that foot, where it is in 3D space. So we can bring this up. And now the fog and the foot should look great-ish. It's gonna we got to do some other things here. Probably some grid warps and mess with some things. But when we put it all back together, now our fog is starting to layer correctly. There you go. Cool. So we're going to do some color correction on this. And that's going to be the whole next chapter. Next chapter is going to be all about taking all of these things, right, that we've started to assemble and really start to massage them. Because right now, we're not doing basically any color correction. So this is going to be about color correcting all of our elements, like this weird alien foot here. We're gonna darken him down because I just want a silhouette, right? We're going to go through all of those, the way I think about these things, how we're going to get, again, this from, I would say this is about 80% done. So now what are going to be all of those different techniques to get us to that more like 95%. And then we'll go through the whole final compositing. It's all about these little tweaks and things. But I'm going to go through. I'm going to add a grid warp to this guy. Let's go ahead and do that before we close out. So I can kind of show you the process. But it's just a grid warp, and you can animate these things too, which is really fun. Not a grid warp tracker, a grid warp. So these are all animatable. So we're going to just go through here. And again, I think I'm going to want to really kind of warp this foot, right? Like the toes specifically. So I'm going to draw some lines around it. It stops right there. So there you go. Cool. Yeah, probably like that. All right. And then we can do things like, I'm going to find the right spot. So like when this foot is coming down and crushing this thing, we want to actually animate, trying to find the exact spot where it's like where it makes contact. All right, so here let's animate the crush. We're gonna go through here. All right, so right about there, I'm gonna set a key, step forward, crushing that car into that foot. Giant monster foot. Now he's gonna be fully crushed. Step back. Not crushed at all. Hasn't even been touched. Now it's getting crushed. All right. So then I'm gonna go ahead and disable the motion blur by taking the motion blur down to 0. Because what I want to see here is actually I want to distort the foot around this thing. Yeah, like that. Come on, warp. Why are you not warping? What is going on? Oh, it's because I have it unhooked. Oh, silly me. All right, let's go ahead. Yeah, so that's a big thing. Make sure your nodes are hooked in, guys and gals. That's compositing 101 for you. So let's go ahead and again, actually we should be doing this above our tracker. Again, order of operations, because we want to warp this, but we don't want to track the warping grid. We want to just warp it in the static, and then we're going to transform that. So here we have it moving down. So I'm going to click my arrow and I'm going to start moving points. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So now it's going to feel like, this gooey alien foot is actually doing something. Like it's actually kind of compacting, right? There you go. It's already starting to look better. Step forward. We're auto keyframing things, which is fun. And again, remember right here, this is when we're going to have this giant explosion. So we're going to hide a lot of this. A lot of this work that we're doing here is not going to end up mattering, but just like painting the other side of the fence, we're going to know that the job was done right, and it's going to look great. But I just really want to feel that, like, that squish. This is kind of this gooey thing. Gooey alien foot. That looks cool. All right, sweet. We're going to move this down. Like, we might not see these in the final shot, right? Like, this is all going to be hidden by blurs and glows and all sorts of things. But that's not the point. The point is that we're going to know that there's going to be some life to it. And a compositor is always thinking about frame by frame. That is the big deal with compositing. You want every single frame to be a work of art, even if you don't see it. You want to make sure that the image quality, that the final image is the best it can possibly be, and that means that we do these weird little tweaky things on frames that are be super blurred, because we're going to know that this is right. And whatever alchemy is in movie magic, it gets put into the final image as well. So here we can actually color correct this foot too, based on the car. So it's a little bit dark right here. We want to kind of brighten them up so it matches the car. And then I'm going to expose this down a little bit with the f-stop. Well, actually, let's up it. There you go. Because we're gonna match the black point. All right. So in this black point right here, you might hear this term a lot. Basically means that the blackest part, and again, let's go ahead and unpremult. The blackest part of your image matches the blackest part of the objects around that. So you want to make sure that it doesn't look like this. That's gonna look weird. Or see these inside the wheel well right there. You want that part of the foot to match that right there. So I'm going to kind of goose this up a little bit. Perfect. And let's go ahead and reduce the red. Now, when you go up and, because I'm looking down here, it looks like we actually have more red, so we need to increase it. With black points, when you're pushing and pulling these sliders, you actually do it it's inverted. So when we reduce red, it's actually going to increase the red in there. So that's looking better. Green, let's do the same deal. I'm just eyeballing this. And then too much, little tiny bits. Let's bring this exposure back down. All right, starting to feel more. So you're marrying elements based on where it is in the space, all the elements that are around it. So, this is all going to get covered up with fog and all that stuff, but that's not the point. The point is that all the elements, if you took the fog away, you want everything to look exactly as it should. And so that's what I'm aiming to do right here. And then that overall is going to make the image look even better. All right. Cool. Starting to look a little Stranger Thingsy, huh? Digging it. Cool. It's got some weight to it at the start, kind of like pushed and pulled things. And now let's set our motion blur back. Cool. Crush. We need some, so I'm not worrying about secondary animation, so that's settle right there. That's actually all going to get a lot better once we add in that explosion. And then, of course, the camera shake. This is a static shot, but we're not going to keep it a static shot. We're going to add a camera shake to this. And that's all going to be coming in the next chapter. So next chapter, camera shake, color correction. We're going to marry all this together. We're going to be making this looking super, super cool. We're going to be putting all these elements and they're going to start fitting into that final shot, right? And then it's going to all culminate in this giant explosion. We can start kind of seeing it come through. Yeah, there you go. So we're going to be mixing this back in, speeding it up, and then exploding the whole frame. It's going to look super, super neat. We're making progress. I'm having a lot of fun. I hope you all are as well. And I will see you all next time. And that's another wrap, this time for Chapter 4. You have now learned how to integrate and transform the ActionVFX stock footage elements into your comp. Used a synthetic depth pass to add in atmospheric effects like our fog, and fine-tuned placement of all these elements with precision with transforms and grid warps. Now, these techniques are really key to building dynamic and believable composites. So now in the next chapter, we'll delve into color correction and grading, which is a near and dear subject to my heart as a colorblind compositor. So you will learn all about how to balance colors and add those finishing touches like film grain and some fun camera shake. So, but we're not stopping there. We're not stopping here. We still got 2 more chapters to go. So I will see you all next time. And until then, take care. Bye.